Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world, with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate Samrat Samprati Museum on Mahavir Jayanti in West Indian state of Gujarat, to launch Kane's Semicon plant, unveil 20,000 plus crore rupees project. India announces end of decade-long Naxal insurgency. Home Minister Amit Shah says its latest bastion, Chhattisgarh's Bastar, is treading the path of development. Prime Minister Modi says NDA government has worked to uproot Naxalism. Trump threatens Iran's energy hub of Kharg Island, oil wells and civilian infrastructure if it does not agree to deal to end the war. Tehran calls US proposals unrealistic, illogical and excessive. Debris from intercepted missile hits oil refinery in Israel's Haifa. Iran attacks a fully loaded Kuwaiti crude oil tanker at Dubai port. Oil prices soar as blockade continues. Let's begin with the latest now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a day-long Gujarat visit today. On the occasion of Mahavir Jayanti, Prime Minister Modi will inaugurate the Samrat Samprati Museum at Kopa Tirth in Gandhinagar. Named after Samrat Samprati, the grandson of Ashoka and a revered figure in Jain tradition, known for his commitment to non-violence and propagation of Jainism, the museum showcases the rich historical, cultural and spiritual legacy of Jainism. Housing over 2,000 rare treasures arranged in expansive halls, the museum enables visitors to gain a chronological understanding of the evolution of Jainism and its profound cultural impact. India's semiconductor ambitions are taking another major step forward. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will today inaugurate the Kane's Semicon facility in Sanand, Gujarat, marking the start of commercial semiconductor production at the plant. The project is being seen as a key milestone in India's push to build a strong domestic chip ecosystem. Here's more.
India's journey to becoming a global semiconductor hub is steadily gathering pace. In Sanand, Gujarat, a new milestone is about to be etched as Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the Kane's Semicon plant, the country's second semiconductor facility to begin commercial production. The plant will manufacture advanced intelligent power modules, or IPMs, which are critical components used in automotive and industrial power systems that demand efficiency, reliability, and compact design. Each module will contain 17 semiconductor chips and will be supplied to California-based Alpha and Omega Semiconductor. Once all phases are complete, the facility is expected to produce over 6.3 million units every day, marking a significant boost in India's semiconductor packaging capacity. The project comes under the Government of India's ambitious India Semiconductor mission, a strategic push aimed at building a self-reliant semiconductor ecosystem in the country.
Our beloved Prime Minister, put this policy of India Semiconductor Mission. He put together a thought process and a plan to see how the semiconductor manufacturing can be brought into India. We are the first Indian multinational to fulfill our dream and his dream for India.
Industry leaders say the momentum created by policy support and government incentives is helping India emerge as a serious player in the global semiconductor landscape. The Sanand facility is particularly significant because it represents the entry of an Indian electronics manufacturing services company into semiconductor manufacturing, a sector traditionally dominated by global giants.
I'm very much convinced that India will be the future for manufacturing. So Kane Semicon is very important and we will play a very crucial role for the global assembly, packaging and testing reliability. Keynes will work hard to achieve to become a very large player in the business.
With projects like Keynes' Semicon plant and the Micron facility already moving forward, India's semiconductor ecosystem is beginning to take shape, from chip assembly and testing to advanced electronics manufacturing. And as the government doubles down on its semiconductor push, the message is clear. India is positioning itself not just as a technology consumer, but as a future semiconductor powerhouse.
India is soon not only is going to become a major powerhouse, but also a leading semiconductor power in the world. In Sanand, Gujarat, with camera person Keshav Prasad and Yogesh Tiwari, Akshay Dongre, DD India.
India's tech infrastructure in 2026 is going through a major shift. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw said that about major part of global manufacturing will take place in India as its memory plant ramps up its production.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी भारत का दूसरा सेमीकंडक्टर प्लांट जो कि सानंद गुजरात में स्थित है, केन्स का, उसका उद्घाटन करेंगे। ये 14 महीनों में फाउंडेशन से लेके कमर्शियल प्रोडक्शन तक आया है प्लांट। बहुत ही तेज़ी से काम हुआ है डबल इंजन की सरकार में, और ये भारत के लिए गौरव की बात है कि एक जो अत्याधुनिक इंडस्ट्री है सेमीकंडक्टर इंडस्ट्री, जो कि हर तरह के प्रोडक्ट में काम में आते हैं चिप्स, उन चिप्स के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का काम भारत में दूसरा प्लांट होगा।
And later in the day, Prime Minister Modi will lay the foundation stone, inaugurate and dedicate to the nation multiple development projects worth more than 20,000 crore rupees in Bastar, a district of Gujarat. These projects span key sectors including power, railways, road transport and highways, health, urban development, tribal development and rural development. Prime Minister Modi will also inaugurate key tourism projects aimed at enhancing tourism experience and promoting cultural heritage. Now, a day before its deadline, India has been declared free from Naxals. And this was declared by Union Home Minister Amit Shah while speaking in the Lok Sabha, or the lower house of the Indian Parliament, on government's fight against left-wing extremism. He said that left-wing extremism restricted the development in the affected areas, but now the development is reaching these regions under the Narendra Modi government.
हमने लक्ष्य किया था कि 31 मार्च को नक्सल मुक्त करेंगे। मैं पूरी व्यवस्था होने के बाद देश को भी सूचित करूंगा, मगर मैं ऐसा बोल सकता हूं, धड़ल्ले से बोल सकता हूं कि हम नक्सल मुक्त हो गए हैं। ऐसा कहने में कोई तकलीफ नहीं।
Providing further details, Minister Amit Shah revealed that 706 Naxalites who refused to surrender and continued to remain hiding were eliminated in police encounters. Shah stressed that anyone who takes up arms will be dealt with strictly and a bullet is answered with a bullet.
4,839 सरेंडर हुए, 2,218 जेल में गए हैं और सिर्फ 706 जो सरेंडर होने नहीं दिए थे, जिनको बैन में रखा था, उनको पुलिस ने मुठभेड़ में मार गिराया है। और मैं कहता हूं शासन का यही अप्रोच होना चाहिए, जो वार्ता करना चाहता है उसके साथ वार्ता करनी चाहिए, और जो हमारे जवानों पर, किसानों पर, आदिवासियों पर, बच्चों पर गोली चलाता है उसका जवाब गोली से देना चाहिए। यही शासन का होता है, यही शासन का नियम होता है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has lauded Home Minister's reply in Lok Sabha, saying his government has worked towards uprooting this menace and ensuring the fruits of development reach areas affected by Naxalism. In a social media post, he wrote, and I quote him here, "This is an outstanding speech by Home Minister Shri Amit Shah ji, filled with important facts, historical context and the efforts of our government in the last decade. For decades, the retrograde Maoist ideology had an adverse impact on the development of several regions. Left-wing extremism has ruined the future of countless youngsters. In the last decade, our government has worked towards uprooting this menace and at the same time ensuring the fruits of development reach areas affected by Naxalism. We will keep focusing on furthering good governance and ensuring peace and prosperity for all, unquote. This was the tweet by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Union Home Minister Amit Shah's reply on making India free from Naxalism. Moving on. On the West Asia crisis now, US President Donald Trump threatened to obliterate Iran's power plants and oil wells if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately open for business. While a spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry called US proposals to end the war excessive and unreasonable. Here's more.
US President Donald Trump issued another warning to Iran on Monday to open the Strait of Hormuz or risk US attacks on its oil wells and power plants. Trump wrote in a social media post on Truth Social that great progress has been made, but if for any reason a deal is not shortly reached, which it probably will be, and if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately open for business, we will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells and Kharak Island, and possibly all desalinization plants, which we have purposefully not yet touched. Trump also asserted that Iran is undergoing true regime change and that the country's new leaders have been very reasonable. However, Iran's foreign ministry denied direct talks with the US.
We have had no direct negotiations with America so far, since the last round of negotiations until now.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai also said Iran's parliament is reviewing a possible exit from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Iran on Tuesday issued a fresh warning of retaliation amid escalating tensions with the US, even as Washington claims progress in talks with Tehran. In a post on X, Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Baqir Kalibaf said that the country would respond strongly to any attacks. He warned if they hit one, they will take several back, adding that Iran, under the leadership of Supreme Leader, would make its enemies regret the aggression and reclaim its rights. Meanwhile, the United Nations warned that Yemen risks being drawn further into the wider West Asia conflict. UN spokesperson said the organization was concerned by Houthis' decision to engage directly in the regional war and urged the group to halt further military action.
Turning to Yemen, I can tell you that we have consistently warned of the risk of the spillover from the conflict in the Middle East, and we're gravely concerned by the Houthis' recent decision to engage in the regional war by launching military attacks against Israel. We urge the Houthis to refrain from any further involvement and instead engage in diplomatic and mediation efforts.
A giant Kuwaiti crude oil tanker, Al Salmi, caught fire after what Kuwait Petroleum Corporation described as a direct Iranian attack while the vessel was anchored at Dubai port in UAE. According to Kuwait's state news agency, the tanker was fully loaded at the time of the incident, raising concerns about a potential oil spill in surrounding waters. The corporation said the vessel sustained damage and an onboard fire broke out following the attack. Dubai Media Office, meanwhile, said emergency response teams successfully extinguished the fire on the tanker. No injuries have been reported and the safety of all 24 crew members have been ensured. Israel's Fire and Rescue Service said its crew were working to extinguish a large blaze at the Haifa oil refinery after it was hit by debris from the interception of a projectile on Monday. The incident involves a fire at a tank containing 3,000 cubic meters of gasoline. The incident occurred shortly after the Israeli military said it had detected new incoming missiles from Iran. It was not immediately clear whether the refinery had been hit by debris from a missile from Iran or Lebanon or from an intercepting Israeli projectile. The refinery in Haifa, Israel's third largest city, is located in a large industrial zone. Israeli media said the site was also hit on the 19th of March when Iran fired missiles towards Israel. Iran's Parliament Security Committee on Monday approved the Strait of Hormuz management plan that includes measures to impose tolls on vessels passing through the strategic waterway. According to Iranian state media, a member of the National Security Commission announced that the plan was formally approved, detailing key areas of focus, including security arrangements for the strait, ship safety, environmental protection, financial arrangements, and the implementation of a rial-based toll system. As per the reports, the plan also explicitly bans passage for American and Israeli vessels, reinforcing the sovereign role of Iran and its armed forces and outlining cooperation with Oman in establishing the legal framework for the strait. Additionally, it prohibits passage for countries participating in unilateral sanctions against Iran. The approved measures come amid the ongoing conflict in West Asia between Iran and US-Israeli coalition, currently in its second month, and reflect Tehran's efforts to assert control over one of the world's most critical maritime choke points, through which around a fifth of global oil shipments transit. US President Donald Trump has issued a fresh threat to Iran, saying the US will destroy Iran's electricity plants, oil wells and Karg Island unless there is a peace deal. Trump wrote on his Truth Social network that while the US was in serious discussions with a more reasonable regime in Tehran, if an agreement was not forthcoming, Washington would set about completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells and Karg Island. Trump also threatened to attack the desalination plants that supply clean water in Tehran. And to get you more on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Akhilesh Suman. Good morning. Well, fresh threats by the US to Iran that specifically targets Karg Island now. Tell us why Karg is so important and what could be its possible repercussion.
You know that Karg is very important, not only for Iran, but for the whole world, because the world, depend on the oil. And if the world depends on the oil, it has to come from different sources, and it comes from Karg Island resources also. And Karg is the whole depository of Iran's oil, the largest depository of Iran's oil. And in that situation, that if Karg is attacked, I think it will be lost to the whole world, because that you see the location of Karg. It is inside the Persian Gulf, far away from the Strait of Hormuz. That means that the war is going much deeper inside the Persian Gulf. And if it goes much inside the Persian Gulf, that means that the whole Persian Gulf will be, disturbed in the same way as it is disturbed on the, Strait of Hormuz. And inside Persian Gulf, that there are so many ships standing around. So if there is an attack on Karg Island, I think that it will escalate the war further. Because that earlier President Donald Trump had suggested or signaled, whatever you say, that he will not attack the energy sources till April 6 at least. And in between, that you have seen that some attacks are taking place from both the sides on energy sources. I asked the Israeli ambassador in India. He told that last time when Karg was attacked, it was not attack on the oil depository, it was attack on a processing unit. You can understand that it might be attack on refinery unit. But now the way threats are going on from both the sides, I think there will be no distinction from both the sides, that whether you are attacking the refinery, whether you are attacking the processing unit, or you are attacking the oil wells or the other energy sources. So I think this situation is more alarming than it is existing, because it is a war between Iran and USA, or you may say that USA and Israel on the one side and Iran on the other side. But the oil resources are global resources. Even if it is inside your territory, it is in your control, but the resources are global, and resources serve the global community. All the governments are, of the world are, really scared about the oil and energy crisis due to this war. And if Kharg Island is attacked, if the oil, depositories of the Kharg Island is attacked, I think Iran will also retaliate, and Iran will retaliate in Saudi Arabia. Iran will retaliate in UAE, Bahrain, on the oil resources. So I think it will be much deeper escalation that we have been seeing now, and it will be like oil versus the whole world. So I think Kharg is very important, and the whole world is keeping the fingers crossed whether the Kharg is attacked. We have time until April 6th. Let us see that whether before April 6th it happens or not. But what I am hearing from, there are other noises also, like some people are telling, even Netanyahu has given a hint in one of his interview that a state of Hormuz may be dealt other time. And it is coming because I think Donald Trump has said that he will attack Kharg Island. And if Kharg Island is attacked, the state of Hormuz will be closed forever until the war continues. So in that way, I think Netanyahu is also suspecting the escalation further. And what I am also hearing from sources in different media, that they are telling that Donald Trump might also think other way than opening the Strait of Hormuz. So there are mixed signals coming from both the sides. In between, there are exchanges of messages. There are meetings that have taken place earlier in Pakistan, Islamabad, between Turkish foreign minister, Pakistani foreign minister, also Saudi foreign minister. So I think that in that way, let us see that what happens. But the war is escalating, Deepika.
Indeed. And simultaneously, there is a peace proposal which is also being looked upon. Iranian Foreign Ministry said on that the proposals presented were unrealistic, illogical and excessive. And on the other hand, Donald Trump wants a dialogue on it before the 6th of April, as you also mentioned, raising fresh concerns on desalination plants as well if nothing is reached. Where do you see the current situation heading towards? A situation, as you also mentioned, still remains tense, but at the same time, there is a light which we can see in the form of the peace proposal, if that is by any possibility reached.
It's really a tough question for everyone in the world, because peace proposal that has been given by Donald Trump's side for 15-point peace proposal, and 5-point peace proposal was given by Iranian side. So I think talks have been taking place around that through different media, intermediaries. Iran is telling that it is not possible. The 5 peace proposal that 15 points that includes, that total obliteration of nuclear material. Iran was not ready till now. And other than that, U.S. wants that whole of ballistic missile program should be stopped by Iranians. So I think Iran is also not ready for that. But Iranians also want security guarantee, and in that way, that is not a very bad question that you should give security guarantee. So let us see that how whether there is a midway. But maybe the world powers, the world intermediaries will persuade Iran to come to a situation when the escalation will stop and Iranian resources are also saved. Because, what is happening in between, that now if you attack the salination plants, water salination plants, it will become a humanitarian crisis. And if US and Israel attacks the desalination plant in Iran, inside Iran, the Iranian people who are getting affected badly due to the war, and now if desalination plants are attacked, they will be doubly, affected. So in that way, I think good senses should prevail in all the sides, that at least these water resources are not attacked, so that the common people should not be affected because of the crisis of water. That the whole area is already, suffering a lot. So it's really a tough situation, and nobody is coming in open. Even if the NATO is just keeping silent, it is not going to support Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is also quite alone. Germans are telling, British are telling that they are not part of the war, they will not be part of the war. So it is a fight between US and Iran, and US has to decide that to what extent they want to take the fight, because the whole world is, really affected due to this war.
All right, thank you so much for joining us this morning and getting us the latest on the ongoing developments on the West Asia conflict right now. And now let's understand more about Karg. Well situated in the Gulf with deep water berth, Karg Island handles nearly all of Iran's crude exports, making it a critical economic lifeline and a risky potential target in the US-Israel war on Iran. Well, why Karg is so important for Iran? Let's understand.
US President Donald Trump has issued a fresh threat to Iran, saying the US will destroy Iran's electricity plants, oil wells and Karg Island unless there is a peace deal. But why is the Karg Island so important for Iran? Karg Island is a small coral island off Iran's coast in the Persian Gulf, which is a key region for export of oil from Iran. Oil brings in vital revenue, funding Iran's government and military. Critical infrastructure on the island includes oil storage tanks, refineries, depots and housing for thousands of workers. The US has already targeted the island earlier in the war. On March 13th, the US launched airstrikes on Karg, with Trump saying US forces had totally obliterated every military target there. However, the island's oil infrastructure hadn't been targeted in the strike. Meanwhile, the US president took to social media to share that his administration is in serious discussions with Iran to end military operations, while also threatening mass destruction of the country's energy resources unless a deal is reached shortly.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Monday that the war on Iran had achieved more than half of its aim without putting a timeline on when it would end. In an interview to a US broadcaster, the Israeli Prime Minister expressed confidence in the progress of the joint military campaign, emphasizing that significant steps have been taken to dismantle Iran's military and nuclear capabilities. According to the Israeli Prime Minister, US and Israeli forces have already struck critical components of Iran's war-making potential, including missile systems, weapon factories, and personnel linked to its nuclear program. Netanyahu stressed that the operation is aimed not only at weakening Iran in the short term, but also at preventing a far more dangerous future. While Netanyahu did not provide a specific timeline for the conclusion of the operation, he projected continued momentum in favor of US-Israel alliance. Moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke with his Dutch counterpart Rob Jetten and discussed ways to further strengthen India-Netherlands ties. In a post on X, PM Modi wrote, and I quote him here, "Pleased to speak with Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Rob Jetten, today. We discussed ways to further strengthen India-Netherlands ties. Highlighted the potential of a partnership in areas such as semiconductors, mega water projects, green hydrogen and talent mobility. Also exchanged views on the situation in West Asia and emphasized the need for early restoration of peace and stability in the region." Unquote. A Russian-flagged oil tanker ship was closing in on the Cuban port of Matanzas on Monday, promising a lifeline for an island whose economy has ground to a halt under a de facto oil blockade imposed by Washington. Moscow said another oil tanker, Anatoly Kulotkin, had arrived in Cuba after departing from Russia's Primorsk port carrying some 730,000 barrels of crude. On Monday, White House said it has not changed US policy towards Cuba, even as it allowed a sanctioned Russian tanker to deliver fuel to the island for humanitarian reasons, saying such decisions would be handled on a case-to-case basis. Well, Cuba lost its main regional ally and oil supplier in January when U.S. forces captured Venezuela's socialist leader Nicolas Maduro. Trump subsequently threatened to impose tariffs on any country sending oil to Cuba and has mused about taking the island of 9.6 million people. A tanker carrying some 200,000 barrels of Russia-origin fuel, originally bound for Cuba, was seen off the Venezuelan coast, anchored in the bay. The Hong Kong-flagged vessel Seahorse earlier this month rerouted from Cuba to Venezuela after remaining stuck in the Atlantic Ocean for weeks. The vessel arrived in Venezuelan waters on Friday, according to LSEC ship monitoring. It was unclear why the Seahorse had been stranded at sea or why it had changed course to Venezuela. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on the other side. India all set to witness a historic census, which will not only be the world's largest, but also the first to be conducted entirely through digital means. Government approves 29 electronic projects with a focus on key strategic tech sectors. And after the break, we'll get you the latest weather prediction from across the country.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India NewsHour. Well, India is preparing for a landmark moment in its history of data collection. The upcoming Census 2027 will not only be the world's largest census, but also the first to be conducted entirely through digital means. With innovations like self-enumeration and mobile-based data collection, this exercise promises to transform how demographic and socio-economic information is gathered across the nation. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay has more. Take a look.
The Government of India has announced Census 2027, the 16th in the series and the 8th since independence. This time, the exercise will be conducted digitally, including even mobile phones, marking a historic shift in the way data is collected.
इस बार एक नई व्यवस्था स्वगणना की गई है। इसके पहले की जनगणनाओं में चूंकि डिजिटल माध्यम से आंकड़ों का संग्रह नहीं होता था, तो सेल्फ इन्यूमरेशन की व्यवस्था नहीं थी। अगर कोई भी व्यक्ति सूचना स्वयं भी देना चाहता हो तो ऐसी व्यवस्था नहीं थी। इस बार सेल्फ इन्यूमरेशन के माध्यम से डिजिटली स्वयं सूचना दर्ज कर सकते हैं।
The world's largest census will unfold in two phases, beginning on 1st April 2026. For the first time, citizens will have the option of self-enumeration, allowing them to submit details directly.
जनगणना भारत में 2 चरणों में संपन्न होती है। पहला चरण हाउस लिस्टिंग एंड हाउसिंग सेंसस, दूसरा चरण जिसे पॉपुलेशन इन्यूमरेशन जनसंख्या गणना कहते हैं, उसमें प्रजनन संबंधी जानकारी एक एक व्यक्ति का, नवजात से लेकर के किसी व्यक्ति का, किसी भी उम्र का व्यक्ति हो, हर के बारे में निर्धारित प्रश्नों पे सूचना प्राप्त की जाती है।
The phase 1, known as House Listing and House Census, will run between April and September 2026. States and union territories will have a 30-day window to carry out the exercise, preceded by a 15-day self-enumeration period. The phase will capture details about housing conditions, household amenities, and assets. Phase 2, or the population enumeration, will take place in February 2027. However, in Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir's snowbound areas, Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, it will be conducted earlier in September 2026. As per the decision of the Cabinet Committee on Political Affairs, caste enumeration will also be included. This phase will collect information on demographics, education, migration, fertility, and socio-economic indicators. The Union government has sanctioned an outlay of 11,718 crores for Census 2027. The budget covers honorarium and training for census workers, IT infrastructure and logistics. Enumerators will use smartphones and a dedicated mobile app to collect and submit data, ensuring efficiency and accuracy in the process. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
India has taken a major leap in its journey towards self-reliance in the field of electronics manufacturing. Under the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme, the country has achieved another significant milestone. On Monday, projects were approved under the scheme with a proposed investment of 7,104 crore rupees. Here's more.
In a major boost to the electronics sector, the government has approved 29 new projects to promote electronics manufacturing in the country. Union Minister for Electronics and Information Technology, Ashwini Vaishnav, handed over approval letters to the industry representatives.
We approved the next tranche of applications for electronics component manufacturing scheme. And with this, we now have total of 75 factories, 75 projects which are approved for the ECMS program. Another major landmark today is, out of the 75 project approvals, by now 28 projects have started construction already. 28 projects have started construction already.
The approved projects this time include strategic sectors such as capital goods, display modules, rare earth magnets, flexible PCBs and lithium-ion cells. Boosting electronics manufacturing in the country will reduce dependence on imports and position India as a key link in the global supply chain. An investment of 7,104 crore rupees has been proposed in these 29 projects. So far, investments worth 61,671 crore rupees has been approved across 75 projects. These 75 projects are expected to create 65,000 direct jobs. A total of 23 products are being manufactured under these projects, now expanded across 12 states. Notably, approval has been granted for the country's first passive capacitor assembly unit. Approval has also been given for India's first Make in India rare earth permanent magnet unit. Additionally, critical component units for the telecom sector and electric vehicles have also been approved. Geographically, these investments are spread across 8 states, with Karnataka, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu leading the way. The Union Minister urged the industry to adopt Make in India in design, strengthen indigenous supply chains and promote skill development.
On the semiconductor side also, there is huge progress. The first plant of Micron was inaugurated by our Prime Minister on 28th February, and the second plant will be inaugurated tomorrow. Keynes is the semiconductor manufacturer there.
Industry bodies have informed the government that the West Asia crisis has had no impact on India's electronics ecosystem so far. According to official data, electronics production in India has increased from 1.9 lakh crore rupees in financial year 2015 to 11.3 lakh crore rupees in financial year 2025, reflecting a 6-fold growth. During the same period, exports have risen from 38,000 crore rupees to 3.27 lakh crore rupees. Bureau Report, DD India.
Jharkhand is stepping up efforts to tap its vast eco-tourism potential. The focus remains on promoting tourism that is closely connected with nature while ensuring environmental protection. In Ranchi, places like Marasili Hill, Ruka Dam and Hatia Dam are emerging as major attractions.
Jharkhand offers vast opportunities for the growth of ecotourism. Chief Minister Hemant Soren, while chairing a meeting of the governing body of the Jharkhand Ecotourism Authority, gave several key decisions. He emphasized that major religious sites, forest areas, rivers, reservoirs and hilly regions across the state should be identified with priority given to developing them as ecotourism destinations. Under ecotourism, the focus is on developing nature-centric tourist destinations without harming the environment. In Ranchi districts, Marsila Hill, Ruka Dam and Hatia Dam offer immense tourism potential. Spread across nearly 230 acres, Marsila Hill houses an ancient temple of Lord Shiva. The state government has granted it tourist site status and beautification work worth around 17 crore is set to begin soon.
ये बहुत सुंदर जगह है प्राकृतिक रूप से 230 एकड़ का एक ही पहाड़ है हम जिस पहाड़ पर हैं और ये पहाड़ के सबसे ऊंची चोटी पर भगवान शिव उपस्थित हैं और चारों ओर यहाँ हरियाली है चारों तरफ जंगल है सखुआ के पेड़ जिसमें मूल रूप से हैं काफ़ी सुंदर दृश्य है और यहाँ पर्यटक क्षेत्र झारखंड सरकार घोषित की है.
Meanwhile, at the Hatia Dam near Ranchi, the Jharkhand Tourist Development Corporation started boating services last year. This initiative has led to an increase in both tourist footfall and interest in the area.
यहाँ टूरिस्ट का काफ़ी अच्छा यहाँ देखने को मिलता है उत्साहित होकर आते हैं लोग बोटिंग करते हैं और साथ में अपना आशीर्वाद भी देते हैं कि आप लोग इस तरह का कार्य स्टार्ट किए हैं हम लोग काफ़ी खुश हैं दूर जाने से बढ़िया है आप लोग हम लोग नज़दीक में धुरवा डैम में आ जाते हैं बोल के तो हम लोग को अच्छा लगता है.
The Hemant Soren government aims to give national and international recognition to the state's major religious sites, rivers, reservoirs and hilly regions through eco-tourist development.
Rajasthan's Desert National Park in Jaisalmer is witnessing a spectacular rise in eagle activity, much to the excitement of bird enthusiasts. A mix of resident and migratory eagles has been spotted in large numbers, underlining the Thar Desert's importance as a secure and welcoming habitat for these powerful raptors.
Eagles, some native, other migratory, have arrived in significant numbers in Jaisalmer's Desert National Park, making it a delight for birdwatchers. Officials say the migratory species are regular visitors, highlighting Thar Desert's continued importance as a safe haven for the magnificent raptors. The national park regularly hosts 4 major eagle species every year.
Mainly 4 types of eagles are found in DNP. One is the steppe eagle, another is the tawny eagle, and then Indian spotted eagle and the imperial eagle. The tawny eagle nests within DNP itself and stays here throughout the year. Apart from this, the steppe eagle, Indian spotted eagle, and imperial eagle migrate during the winters from regions like Russia, Kazakhstan, and Mongolia. They return along the same route during March and April.
The Thar Desert lies along the Central Asian Flyway, making it a key stopover for migratory birds. Its open grassland terrain, sparse vegetation and warm thermal air currents create ideal conditions for these large birds of prey. These eagles typically arrive in October and November and stay until March or April before returning to their native habitats.
On to weather updates now. Several states in North India witnessed rainfall, while parts of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh reported snowfall. Parts of Delhi received light rain on Monday evening, bringing relief after the city reeled under a warm day with temperatures hovering around 35 degrees Celsius and humid conditions throughout the afternoon. Under the influence of a fresh western disturbance, strong winds swept several parts of Rajasthan, including Jaipur. Many places witnessed light rain. Meanwhile, parts of Jammu and Kashmir received snowfall and rainfall for the second day as the fresh spell of precipitation brought down the rainfall deficit by nearly 5%. Light to moderate rain lashed most parts of Kashmir Valley, while most and some mountainous areas experienced another spell of snowfall on Monday. The Met Department also predicted a possibility of widespread rainfall or snowfall in the next 24 hours. Mild snow continued in the higher reaches of Himachal Pradesh. The local Met Office has predicted a wet spell in the state till the 5th of April as a fresh western disturbance is likely to affect northwest India from the 2nd of April. The Met Department also issued a yellow warning of thunderstorm, lightning and gusty winds in 5 districts on Tuesday and 10 on Friday. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on the other side. Amidst the ongoing West Asia crisis, Asian stocks fell sharply in early trade on Tuesday. India shines at boxing championship. Preeti Panwar Deepak opens the opening with winning account. And after the break, we'll get you amazing visuals from Cherry Blossom Light Show that draws visitors to Kyoto.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India NewsHour. And now let's get you the latest from the world of business. Global oil prices have experienced a significant surge throughout March 2026 due to rising geopolitical tensions involving Iran, US and Israel. Brent crude oil prices rose by 0.19% to reach $112.78 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate hit $102.88 per barrel. This marks Brent's largest monthly increase since it was first traded in 1988, rising roughly 55% over the month. Most Asian shares on Tuesday were headed for their steepest fall since 2022, capping a tumultuous month as the war in West Asia stoked fears of higher inflation and slower growth. In Japan, the benchmark Nikkei share average declined 0.97% after stock market opened in Tokyo. In South Korean benchmark Kospi, that also opened down by 2.53%. The Kospi was headed for a monthly decline of more than 17%, which is the most since 2008. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan was also down 0.55% and on track for a monthly fall of more than 12%, which is the most substantial decline since September 2022. The Australian internet regulator said it was investigating 5 of the biggest social media platforms for suspected breaches of its new under-16 ban, which is its strongest signal yet that companies may face enforcement action under a world-first regime. The announcement marks government's first public assessment of compliance with the law that is being studied by policymakers globally. Under the Australian law, platforms face a fine of up to $34 million for non-compliance, and the regulator added on Tuesday they also faced reputational damage if found in breach of the law. In France, the Senate is set to vote on a landmark bill on Tuesday seeking to ban social media in France to under 15 years old. The text already cleared the hurdle at the National Assembly last January the 26th. If it passes in the Senate, it will be subject to a vote in the lower house before being promulgated as a law. The bill suggests banning children under the age of 15 from using social media and similar features on other platforms. Indonesia summoned officials from Meta and Google over non-compliance with social media restrictions for children under the age of 16 that went into full effect last week. Indonesia now requires social media companies considered high risk to delete or deactivate account of the users under the age of 16. Indonesia's Communications and Digital Minister identified Meta and Google as non-compliant and summoned them for checks, warning that failure to follow the rules could result in sanctions or even a platform block. Both Google and Meta oppose the new restrictions but say they already have child protection measures in place. Other high-risk platforms include Roblox and TikTok, owned by China's ByteDance, which have also been warned to comply fully or face potential enforcement actions. In another update, NASA kicked off a 2-day countdown on Monday for its first crewed mission to the moon in over 50 years, marking a major step towards future lunar exploration. NASA officials stated that Artemis II mission remains on track with no major issues ahead of its launch. While Associate Administrator Amit Shah emphasized that the mission is well prepared and in a strong position for launch, Artemis launch director Charlie Blackwell-Thompson also highlighted that the hardware and teams are performing excellently, with attention still on upcoming weather conditions. The initial launch window at Kennedy Space Center in Florida is scheduled to open on the 1st of April. The mission will send 3 American astronauts and 1 Canadian astronaut into space aboard the Orion spacecraft launched by the Space Launch System. They will carry out a 10-day test flight traveling around the moon before returning to the Earth. And now let's get you all the latest action from the world of sports, to begin with combat sports. At the Asian Boxing Championship 2026, Preeti Pawar and Deepak registered contrasting victories to begin India's campaign on a positive note in Mongolia on Monday. In women's 54 kg weight category, Preeti delivered a commanding performance to secure a 5-0 unanimous decision victory over Kazakhstan's Alina Bazarova. Against a highly accomplished opponent, Preeti's clinical victory marked a strong statement to open her campaign. In men's 70 kg weight category, Deepak, a bronze medalist at Asian Youth Boxing Championship, clinched a hard-fought 3-2 split decision victory against Uzbekistan's Kavaspek Asudalev. Preeti will meet Mongolia's Mungtesetsek in the quarterfinal round, while Deepak will take on Jordan Sayat in the last 8. Moving on to IPL, runners-up from last year, Punjab Kings opened their Indian Premier League campaign against Gujarat Titan at Maharaja Yadvindra Singh International Cricket Stadium on Tuesday. Punjab reached only their second ever IPL final last season, but suffered a narrow 6-run defeat at the hands of Royal Challengers Bengaluru in the showpiece event at Ahmedabad. The Punjab-based outfit have rightfully not made any wholesale changes to their squad, which took them to the final in 2025. They only signed 4 players in the mini-auction. The side will once again rely on the brilliance of their captain Shreyas Iyer along with Arshdeep Singh to come good and take them to yet another playoff spot. Gujarat, on the other hand, finished 3rd last season but lost to the Mumbai Indians in the first eliminator. The 2022 champions have a well-balanced squad with top-quality batters and bowlers who are in great form. Now, last season, Gujarat Titans squad saw the recipients of both purple and orange caps in the form of Prasidh Krishna and Sai Sudarshan. Elegant, quiet, peaceful, wabi-sabi. There are many words that can describe the beautiful atmosphere in Kyoto, where visitors stroll through the grounds of Nijojo Castle, a World Heritage Site, to observe light installations projecting cherry blossoms. Kyoto is illuminated with lights all over the city, including at temples and shrines, which have many cherry blossom light-up events. Take a look at these amazing visuals from Kyoto. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.